Oh man, here we go. Live from Washington, D.C., man. This is a very, very, very exclusive interview. Thank you, Miss Gilmore, for your time. A lot of people been wanting me to reach out to you, and it's just crazy how everything happened. But perfect timing. Um, Tried to do it, I think, a year or two ago, but I don't know. It was too many middlemen. Or anyways,
Yeah, I
thank you
got
for
it.
yeah, thank you for coming today. How you doing?
I'm fine. And thank you for having me.
Most definitely, man. I mean, uh, so you are the ex-wife of Wayne Perry? Let me
No,
get that straight.
no, no. He doesn't have any ex-wife. I'm one of his son's mothers.
Okay. And how, at what age did y'all meet?
He was like 23, 25. I was 17.
Okay. And you're from DC, right?
Yes.
Okay, which part?
I'm from Southeast.
Okay. What was it like growing up Southeast DC in the 80s?
It was good. It was very good. I mean, there were a lot of things going on in DC and Southeast at that time. I mean, crime is what it is, but during my childhood, I had fun.
Okay.
I had fun. I didn't have a bad childhood. I didn't experience a lot of trauma in my life, except for myself. I was in the streets when I was 15 years old by choice. My parents were good parents, my brothers and sisters, my brothers and them were in the street. So by me being in the street at 15, that was by my own choice. But even doing that, I didn't experience any type of trauma or anything.
Mm. What made you get in the streets at 15?
Seeing other things that other people were doing, and just I wasn't being a follower. Learned it. I just learned it. That's all.
Yeah.
Just something that I wanted to do and I learned it and I mastered it real good.
What are your parents saying at that time?
What you say, what are they saying?
Yeah, like what are your parents? They're starting to see a change in you. You're growing up, you're getting older.
Well, my father was in the street. My mother was a bookworm. She knew nothing about the street. She knew nothing about the law or nothing about the court. So during that time, they didn't like it, you know what I'm saying, at all. They did not like it at all. But they were chasing me around, trying to make sure I went. But I went to school. I never missed a day in school. I graduated school and everything. I went to school. But I just like to hang out in the street.
What was what was one of the first things you seen hanging out in the street that let you know that things are a little bit different?
Uh Gambling, hustling, people selling crack cocaine, drug addicts, like serious drug addicts. So there was a time in my life when my father found out that I was on the trail to hustling. I was on the trail to hustling crack. So at that time, he was doing his own thing. He was selling heroin down 9th Street Northwest. He took me to a heroin crack house where there were nothing but fiends laying out and needles and stuff everywhere. And he wanted me to see that because he didn't know which way I was going. He didn't know if I was going to end up being a user or if I was going to end up being a distributor. So he wanted me to see that and was like, this is what you're going to succumb yourself to if you keep on running and being in the streets. But it didn't phase me any. You know what I'm saying? It didn't phase me because I knew that my mind and my heart, I was strong enough to be like, I'm not going to be like these people. You know what I'm saying? It's the money part for me. I'm not going to be a drug addict. I'm not going to succumb myself to smoking crack. I'm not going to succumb myself. I don't like needles. So I'm not going to succumb myself to being a heroin user. So that put me in the mind to make it plain to him that's not where we're going with this. You know what I'm saying? So by being in certain places, like with my brothers and my cousins and them, they was getting money. They was getting money. And my parents were well off, but my father had his own gambling house. So, it was all about the money. And so when my brothers and them got to doing their hustles, they out doing stuff, they knew that I was sneaking around doing stuff, but it ended up like that.
What drugs were your brothers selling?
My brothers was selling crack and heroin.
Okay. And I mean, you're 15, 16 years old. Did you ever get curious and try it, or did you become a distributor?
I became a distributor. I never tried it. I became a distributor to everything. Marijuana, PCP, I never tried it. Never.
So you're selling this at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah. And running the
Mm.
streets all at the same time. I
Wow.
never really ran. And what I think was the best part for me, I never really ran into any dudes who wanted to say, I'm going to basically trick her out. Because I think they thought I was smarter than that. You know what I'm saying? I never went to any dudes on the type of like, yeah, well, I'm going to use my body to get this. It was all about the money for me.
Yeah.
And I
How
knew
much
how to
money are you
maneuver.
making at that time?
I was making maybe some short shit, maybe 10, 12,000.
Oh, is this what, weekly, monthly?
Nah, I was doing it like monthly
Okay,
because
that's good. That's
yeah,
good for a 15-year-old.
yeah, because I was like the middle girl. You know what I'm saying? I go get it. You know what I'm saying? I take it where it need to go, and I break my cut off.
Yeah.
So,
So
I had one guy that I was basically dealing with. People saw me with him, but they really didn't know my relationship with him. My relationship basically was with him was he knew how to get shit. And he was at that time on 14th and Fairmont. So he was like really, really getting some money. So people thought we was in a little relationship. I didn't care what the hell they thought. I was doing what I was doing. So then it came some, he was like, he knew how to maneuver around. At that time, I didn't know my son's father. So I was into that type of life already when I ran into my son's father, which made me go a step higher in my life. So I didn't, I was, his name, I was with this dude and we were doing things. He was moving shit. I was holding. I was helping him. You know what I'm saying? And as I'm going along helping him, he's breaking me off. But people are seeing us in a relation type setting. And I really didn't care because it wasn't nobody's business. So by the time I reached 17, things had gotten a little tight for him, you know what I'm saying? Because by that time, distributors and stuff, they were kind of lacking, you know what I'm saying? Shit wasn't going, the shit wasn't coming in as fast as it was maybe 2 years ago. So then it started slowing down for me, and me and him started getting into it because it became like I'm trying to figure out like where's the money? You know what I'm saying? What is going on here? Like you're not producing what you were producing at first, and now I'm looking sideways. So we got into a big old argument. I ended up taking some money from him.
how much? How much, if you don't mind?
He had maybe like 25,000. So the situation took place. We were arguing because he tried to stash on me and not give me my part of the money because he found out by this time that I had ran into my son's father, and he felt, oh yeah, she about to break off and go with this dude. And I was, because my son father was a whole highlight different from this dude right here. So I felt myself moving in the right direction to move up. But I knew when I went with my son father, I didn't have to do no hustling. That was the whole break of it right there. I didn't have to do none of that. So I told him, give me what you owe me and I'm getting out of here. So we got into a real bad fight. He hit me in the back of my head with a pistol.
Mm.
So I fell out, and when I came to, he was in the bathroom because we was fighting. He was in the bathroom and he was washing himself up. and I took an iron that was on the floor and I ran in the bathroom and I beat him with the iron.
Mm.
So he fell out in the bathroom. He had like, it was on, I only took maybe like 18,000. No, I didn't. I took like 9,500 from him.
Okay.
95, because he had it in bundles. And I didn't know, I didn't count it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just grabbing, he had it on the bed. I'm just grabbing the money, right? So when I grabbed the money, I grabbed his pistol too, and I ran out the door. So as I'm walking down 14th, he lived on 14th and Fairmont Street. His name was Mike. As I'm walking down 14th Street, I runs into one of my friends and she is like, oh my God, like what the hell is going on? But I couldn't tell her. I went to 9th Street to my father's gambling house, and my father, he was mad. Like he was literally pissed off. He was like, what is going on? So when I told my father, he was like, okay, this is the end of this. But I wanted it to be the end for me anyway, because I felt this dude was trying to play me on one end. The next end, I'm going to jail for somebody else's stuff, and I ain't want to do that. And then by me running into my son's father, I knew that would be a whole different situation, a whole different life for me. And at this time, I was 17. So going into with my son's father, I didn't tell him.
And we're talking about Wayne Perry here, right?
Exactly. I didn't tell him about what I was doing with the other dude, but the streets talk. People want to get in your business. They want to, they wanted to monitor it. They were saying, that I was too young to be messing with my son's father, because at this time he was like 23, 25 years old. So me doing that, I wasn't paying that no attention. But when it got back to my mother had a problem with that. She thought that my son's father was going to prostitute me because I was so young and he was the age he was, and they knew about his street life. My father knew about my son's father. He knew who he was and everything. For me, I didn't know who he was. I knew nothing. I ended up getting into that, going along, because when I met him, he didn't tell me his real name. He told me another name. So, the car he was driving and everything, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to end up doing nothing with this dude. It's okay. It don't matter. But I have a cousin who is a LGBTQ. His name is Brian. He was living in our house at that time, and he was looking out the window when I got out the car with my son's father, and he was like, oh my God, Storsha, do you know who that is? And I'm looking at him like, this dude, no, I don't know. I didn't really care because I didn't think nothing was going to go on. So when he told me who my son's father was, I was already by this time hanging in Southwest DC. That's where Wayne is from, Southwest DC. So from me growing up in Capers and Southeast DC is where I'm from. So I grew up in Capers, made my way around town, came from Northwest. I lived in Northwest, up by Cadoza High School. From there, my mother, we moved around. She went from an apartment to a house, basically. So we moved from there, we moved to Capers on K Street, Southeast. Actually, the house is still there, but Capers has changed now. They made it a whole new neighborhood. So from there, I was hanging with Junie Boy. He's another LGBTQ. And I also hung with the LGBTQs that were back in the 80s, 90s. They were real, they were the highest type transgenders. It was Puffy, Mimi, Tracy, and Miss Ann. So then I went to Southwest and I started hanging with Tyrone. They call him Cream Puff. He's an LGBTQ also. So during the time I'm running around with Tyrone, that's when Wayne came in and, I started seeing him. I was actually 17 years old. I told him how old I was. He never put his hands on me or none of that. We was just, He was just grinning. So, like during that time, I was going to Wilson High School, also where the Southwest people go. And he came to my school, and the girls at my school, because I was more like a tomboy type little girl. I wasn't into the fashion and stuff at that point. I was fashion though, but like the upper class fashion, I wasn't there yet. But my mother made sure we always had stuff, always had the best fashion. So, let me break that down. What I mean by fashion, like back then, we had Pearl Sucos and Reeboks and Nikes, Adidas, head tennis shoes, head sweatsuits, and all of that. But he took me to another level when it became like the big Gucci bags and Ferragamo bags and Hermes bags and stuff like that. That's when I got to the level with him. So during my time with Wayne was never a disrespectful man. Like the way they portray him now on the streets is very disturbing to me, because that's not how he is. You know what I'm saying? He's always been very respectful to me. He speaks soft spoken. He does not, his voice is not high pitched or anything. So while I'm dealing with him, going along or whatever, he brought me to a level. Then I went from there, I became pregnant with my son, which is his son. So, that's the nature of that. So I never, went back to hustling. I moved from hustling drugs to hustling checks and credit cards. And this was during the time after Wayne went to prison. So I had to feel my way through, the rest of my life, because I had a child to take care of. It was me and my son. And I knew I had to take care of my son one way or another. Yes, I had jobs here and there, government jobs or whatever. I didn't stay because I liked the fast money. That's what I was into.
When you met Wayne Perry, did you know anything about him, his reputation? Did you know anything at all?
When I first met him, no, I did not. I learned it.
How soon after did you start catching on to his lifestyle?
I started catching on to his lifestyle maybe 3 months later after I met him, because
Okay.
he started telling me, you know what I'm saying? I never asked Wayne any of his business because it was really not my business. But things that I found out, things that, he ended up expressing to me and sharing with me, is some stuff I will never tell, but that's how I got into it. And then
Yeah.
over the years, the 2 years that I ended up sharing with him before he went to prison, I started learning a lot of stuff.
Okay. From the people that knew him, they talk about him being super charismatic, super quiet, um, but he was this guy that took no bullshit at all.
Exactly.
Um, so express like who was Wayne Perry to you as far as like on a day to day.
On a day to day, like I said, he was a regular gentleman. He was never one to talk. He was never one to express to you, to me, certain things that he was involved in, certain things that he was doing, or what his daily mission was to do for that day. When I was with Wayne and around him, it basically was about I and him for that moment.
So it was never like any times where he came to you and told you certain things that was going on.
Yeah,
Like, and how would you react to the things that he would tell you?
it wasn't no reaction for me. there was no reaction for me because it really wasn't about me. That was whatever he was doing. That was his business. That he felt that he could share with me, and he know that I wouldn't share with anybody else. So I didn't make a reaction.
Yeah.
He's not, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but I'm gonna say this. He's not the type that I was scared of. He didn't put me in a position to be scared of him about anything.
With this reputation, I mean, him getting money. This is his public information, but he was paid to do hits. He would jack popular drug dealers. Like, did he ever tell you that's what he did to make ends meet?
No, no, he did not.
When did you find out though?
What did I find out?
Yeah, like when did you find out that he
That,
was the most feared in DC? Like, I mean, we're talking about a
I
city
mean,
with over.
I knew he was the most fed because when, there were certain times if I was somewhere with him, I could see how people were looking at him or were looking, or they would, a lot of time, there was a time when we were somewhere getting something to eat, and he got out the car and dudes just came to him and gave them their money, and I was like, okay. But it didn't phase me or pan out to me any type of way about him, because at that time all I was interested in and was worried about is how he was treating me, and how his behavior was towards me. So whatever he did in the streets, or how people were saying he was doing this, I let that fly past me. I lost a lot of friends behind that because they told me, like, oh, he is this person, he's going to do this to you, and you look stupid, you shouldn't be, dealing with him, you don't know what type of person he is. It wasn't that way to me from him.
Hmm. Yeah, there's stories about him walking up to people, well, drug dealers, and him telling them, if you want to be my friend, give me some money.
Don't believe everything you hear.
That's
Don't
not
believe
true.
don't believe everything you hear. See that, and that's the problem I have. If you wasn't there, you can't asphyxiate it on that. People have been making up lies on Wayne since he's been in that cell that they would have never said, or you would have never heard if he was standing here or if he was out here.
What's the biggest misconception, the biggest lie that you hear often?
That he was sleeping with men.
Mm. Yeah, I've seen that on a multiple
Yeah,
occasion.
that's a lie. That's a lie. How he murdered over 100,000 people. That's a lie. Then they came with something about how he was raping some crackheads. That's a vicious lie. So what I would say is all the stuff that's on the internet, 90% of it is lies. You have people who have taken their initiative to go and get his the newspaper clippings, and they took out of the newspaper clippings and they made a story out of that. Then you had some people who he has written and said certain things about himself and his life. He did not tell them to share it, and they've shared it. Then you have people who take and they make stories about him and they add on. So to be frank with you, there is no real truthful Wayne Perry story unless it's from him. He's not deceased. He's very well. He's living, he's doing his time better than most of these dudes would ever think to do. And I don't think they could stand and be of a stronger man as he is. Wayne is extremely intelligent beyond what they say about him in DC streets or wherever they say about it in the world, because they got him all over the world. I would never disrespect him and go behind his back and share reflective things that he shared with me, because I'm not that woman. I don't, even the fact that he is my son father, he is somebody to me, but I'm not a backstabber in that way. You know, some things are not meant to be said. Some things are not meant to be heard. Some things are best left silent. Sometimes it's for the person's own good. And sometimes it's just the way it should be. I don't get off on, or in my head, I'm not concluded to, I'm going to get fame off his name. It doesn't make sense to me. If it's not, possessing or progressing in the right way to assist him, then what is it about? Because nobody has the real Wayne Perry story.
Yeah, because Wayne Perry, he earned the nickname the Michael Jordan of murders. And the myth in the street is he's killed over 100 people. I'm just I just
Does he look like he an octopus? I asked this before. Does he look like he an octopus? Seriously. I mean, like, frankly speaking, for real. That is ludicrous to me. He didn't even get charged for killing 100 people. Whatever the society said that they charged him with. It makes no sense.
Another story I want to ask you too. And I just want you to confirm a couple of things because these are the things that stuck out to me. So I guess at a party one night, a woman walked up to Wayne Perry by the name of Yolanda Burley, and she was asking him a lot of questions like, "Yo, what's your name? Where you from? This, and that." Just trying to get to know him, and he allegedly killed her because he thought that she was the FBI. And this is documented. I'm just asking you. You know.
I know nothing about that.
Okay. Did you ever meet Alpo?
Once.
Okay. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Was it at like a event or?
No. He never. I'm gonna hold you right there. Wayne never ever put me in a position around them. So no, I never met Alpo at an event.
Okay.
He didn't put me in. I wasn't in. He didn't put me in those areas with them.
So you never like had like a weird feeling about Alpo and the things he was trying to convince, Wayne to do?
Yeah, I've always felt weird about him because of what others were telling me. But for me, if I'm not there to see it, I can't just go off of what they tell me. You know what I'm saying? I don't go off of what people tell me. If I don't know, I don't know. I can't confirm it. Mm-hmm. But because of some of the stuff that I was hearing about Poe, yeah, I felt some type of way about him. But that wasn't my business to go and tell Wayne, because that was Wayne's business. I know how to stay in my place as a woman, as a lady. He didn't put me in those positions, and there was no need for me to speak upon it. He knew what he was doing. That was his life. So when you see women come out and start talking about, yeah, this, that, and the other, I don't think that's accurate for a woman, especially a street woman. What's not for you is not for you. What's not for you to speak about, don't speak about it.
Yeah. So Alpo did an interview and he voiced that Wayne would allegedly kill people and then show up at their own funeral. This is from Alpo himself.
Mm. Wow.
Because I guess when he would kill certain guys that had a lot of women and then go to the funeral to get at those women. This is from Alpo.
I don't believe nothing he said out his mouth. I've never known, Wayne to go to nobody's funeral unless he did it when I wasn't around. That's the first I heard of that. I've never heard that stories because I don't listen to anything that Alpo has really written or said. He said one thing that I respected is when the situation came up about Wayne sleeping with men, and he said that's a lie. He said Slim had plenty of women. He never slept with men. That's the only thing I could stamp to say that I agreed with him on. Anything else he said out of his mouth, I don't believe it. Because he told the people a lot of stuff to get him convicted. So do you think he would really, really seriously keep the narrative of the truth about anything between them?
So would you ever go out and about with Wayne? Like what would you and Wayne do on a daily basis?
I wasn't the type that was going out and about with Wayne. Wayne would come and get me when he wanted to see me. I wasn't with all the showboat. It wasn't for me. So I had my time with him. I'm not. I mean, Wayne was got had plenty of women. He was out showboating with a couple of women. One in particular used to have her with him.
Mm. Um, Now Rayful Edmond, he just came home. The internet went crazy. This guy was the biggest DC drug dealer, making they say between 40 to 70 million a week, 300 million a month. I mean a year. And Rayful Edmonds is cousins with Wayne Perry. That's what I'm understanding.
Hmm. I don't listen to what other people say. Wayne never told me that they were cousins. And I'm going to leave that there. What I do know is Rayful is known to be a DC rat. He's all over the TV. And Wayne hates rats.
Mm. How big was Rayful back then, man? Because it seems like the top two names I hear is Wayne Perry and Rayful.
And I'm sick of hearing it. Yeah, I'm sick of hearing it. But Rayful was very big back then. Very big. I met Rayful through Puffy, who was a transgender. She is now deceased. I didn't know who he was either when I met him. He came, her and I, we were going to a party, a Kirkbone party at in Chevy Chase, Maryland. And we all were going shopping. And he back then they had pagers. He paged her phone and she told me, come on, we're gonna go outside and we're gonna meet. I got somebody pulling up. We're gonna meet them real quick and then we're going to the mall. So when He pulled up. I didn't know who he was because, like I said, I was in my area. I wasn't all over the place with all these gangsters and rappers and stuff like that. That wasn't who I was. I was specifically at that time dealing with Wayne, and that was it. I knew a lot of people because I'm very known in DC, but I knew a lot of people. But to involve myself all into that, I wasn't doing that. So when he pulled up in a limousine. So I'm looking at her like, what in the world? So I went along. So I got in the middle part of the limousine. She got in the back part of the limousine with him. He took us down. She lived in the back of 21st Street, 22nd Street, which is called Langdon Terrace. Langston Terrace, Langdon Terrace. And he rode us down the bottom of the hill, around the corner, past Heck and Jamal, and brought us back. And we got out the car. When she got out the car, she had money in her hand. So I had seen, we had went, I was there, I left her and went down Southwest. So somebody had went back, I guess people had seen us. I didn't know. And they went back and they told Wayne that they seen me getting in the car with him. So he said to me, and I was embarrassed because the way he said it to me, it was like, you getting in people's cars and you don't even know who car you getting in. You don't know what's going on. What are you doing? So when I said it, he said, you had fun today? And I said, yeah, people don't know Wayne was also a jokester. He liked to play around Joan, and he was a fun person. Instead of them just calling him what they say he is, what they say they think he is. So he was laughing and stuff, and I'm looking at him like, what is going on? Because I did not know who Rayful was. So he said, you was in the car with Rayful. So I'm looking at him like, and then when he really realized that I didn't know who Rayful was, that's when he said it. He was like, that's Rayful. So you need to watch yourself and, doing stuff that you doing. You don't know people. Don't be getting in people's cars. And I was like, okay, but literally it stuck in my head, and I was truly embarrassed because of the way he said it and the way he was looking at me, like basically like, what are you, what the hell are you doing? You don't know what's going on here. So when I went back to her, I told her, I said, Puffy, why you ain't tell me? So she was like, I apologize. You know what I'm saying? I apologize because she really didn't want me to know, because I guess that was their little secret. But Rayful liked it, all of them, all the transgenders, the LGBTQ, Puffy, Tracy, Mimi, all of them. I would never say he had sex with them or slept with them because I wasn't there to see that. But what I was there to see is that he was fond of them and he gave all them money.
Whoa, so wow, so that's some great information. So Rayful, you're not saying he's gay, but he was around the gays and things like
Yeah,
that. He didn't discriminate.
right. That's what, yeah, he didn't discriminate.
Okay.
That's how I met him. And
Mm.
I don't think he might not even, we're much older in age now. I was like 20. I think I was 22. I had just had my son. So, I mean, we was young. And then after that, that's when Wayne went to prison. We were young, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even think he probably he might remember my name. My name is a very foreign name. You can't forget it, you know what I'm saying? But I don't even think he might not even remember that. Because
Yeah.
I seen him just that one time and that was it. But I know that he was very fond of them. And like I said, and I say it again, I never seen him sleep with any of them. I can't say that he was sleeping with them. I can't say that he liked men. I can't say that. But what I can say is he was fond of them. And, I'm going to say this. When the situation came up about Wayne supposed to be sleeping with men, I know it's a lie. And on top of that, if he was, he would have been doing it back then too. And Puffy would have most definitely told me because there were a lot of guys in DC literally sleeping with them and giving them money, and his name never ever came up.
Mm. Was what type of? I know Wayne. He was dibbling dabbling with selling drugs and shit like that, but did he sell a lot of drugs when you was with him, or most of his money was hitting licks and putting killing people for money?
I don't know. All I know is he was good to me. I don't know.
So it wasn't one of them things. My bad. And I know I keep asking you the same thing differently, but I just want to get this overstood. So it was never a time where Wayne Perry would kill somebody and he would come back, lay with you, and tell you it, what he did, and maybe cry or maybe be angry or show some emotion about what he did. It was never a time.
Wayne is not that type of person.
Explain that.
He's not that type of man to pillow talk.
Yeah, but us as human beings, sometimes we have to talk to some people to let out emotions, or so he kept everything inside. He never told you anything.
Nope. And what he told me,
You'll never repeat it.
No, I'm gonna take it to my grave.
That's real.
Yeah, I owe him that much, and I owe it to myself, because loyalty is everything to me. I would
How was he?
never tell.
How was he financially?
Financially, he was good. He wasn't starving for nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's what people don't understand. Wayne had a lot of things of his own. Wayne had cars. Wayne had houses. Wayne had a lot of stuff of his own. People think he relied on Alpo for everything. No, he did not.
Whatever that's how Alpo likes to make it seem.
Yeah, whatever he was doing, however he was getting his money, he had a lot on his own. When my son was born, we didn't beg for nothing. He knew, he gave, he did what he was supposed to do. He wasn't never running around here lacking for anything.
Did you personally know Big Head Gary?
Yeah, I knew him.
Okay, and just from being like around the way, or from Wayne, or what?
No, just from being around the way. He was from Trinidad. I hung up around there.
Yeah. So Poe describes him as a little short kid with a big head, with little man syndrome.
Okay.
And word on the street was he had a lot of money too, and he was about his murder game. But I guess Big Head Gary, and Alpo fell out, and he had Wayne kill him in the back seat, I think.
I don't know nothing about that. Now, I will say Gary did have money, but the rest of that, how they expressing how this person life was took and all that, that's not my show.
Yeah. And it was also to where, I guess, Wayne Perry, he had like a 22-man crew, and like he would be mad at the guys in his crew if you didn't shoot him in the head.
What?
Like when you go on certain hits and people would survive, he would be mad because sometimes people wouldn't die right then and there. He would be mad if they went to the hospital in critical condition. Wayne Perry was the type of guy that trained his killers to shoot people directly in the head. And I'm not trying to be super gruesome with you. I'm just want to.
I'm like, wait a minute. You describing? You are who you talking about right here does not seem like Wayne to me. I don't know that side of Wayne.
Okay.
I've never witnessed that side of Wayne.
I mean, he could have been living double lives too.
Hey, he ain't bring that to me. That's something I could never speak on. He didn't bring that life to me. When he was in the street, he did what he did. That was his business. Whatever he shared with me, that's between I and him. The rest of that mess, that's ludicrous to me. Cause I don't know who you describing.
How often do you speak to Wayne? When was the last time you spoke to Wayne?
I don't talk to Wayne much.
Because he can't. He's in the Supermax right now, right, in Colorado, I think,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he can't really call people like he wants to, right?
That's true.
Okay. So, how was your son doing?
My son is fine. Thanks for asking.
Okay. And do you feel like him growing up, you doing your thing, single parent, making ends meet, did that affect your son in any way?
Yeah. Yes, he didn't have his father around. And then it affects him more because he can't talk to him like he wants to. It affects him more because, we have a lot of street bull crap going on. And it affects him because of the stuff that he reads or the stuff that he hears on the internet. Like just what you said. When my son hears that, he's going to be furious. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not trying to kick up no old dirt. I'm
I
just,
know. I know.
I
He,
just want
my
to.
son, and I think, the rest of his kids, they have literally learn Wayne through letters and whatever little calls that he could get in with them when they were small or when they're this age.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine because I mean, y'all are still in the DC area, so a lot of people he hears all these stories about his dad and things like that. Then on the internet, I mean, people are infatuated with Wayne Perry's story. So,
Yes,
all,
they
all
are.
everything I'm saying is through these stories that is just like the man in the myth. He doesn't have any interviews out to express himself.
Right,
So,
right.
man,
And the I'm always, and I've decided that I'm not going to do it anymore. I've said what I said. I meant what I said in reference to him, but I have to figure out another way to deal with this whole situation because it's like these people don't know when to stop. The lies continue and continue and continue. But my last thing was to get out the fact that it was a lie that he was sleeping with men and
yeah,
that this
I did see
man
that.
this man did not catch him in a cell having sex with a man. He actually caught him in a cell having sex with a female. That was my main thing at this point. But the rest, like this is it's overbearing. It's unnecessary. And until he decides what he want people to know about him, we will never hear the truth.
Is DC still the same?
No.
What's changed the most in DC?
Everything
For the better or worse?
for the worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I know DC still get. I know shit still happens in DC.
Stuff still
But
happens. Yeah, I mean, dudes are still doing parties. Everybody is trying to get their money, but at the end of the day, it's not the same. These dudes to me, they're just, they don't stick together for what I'm seeing. Everybody is trying to competition the next person or feel as though they have something over the next person, and it's a bunch of bull crap. It used to be Chocolate City. It's not no more. It's Rat City.
mm,
They love rats. They post rats. They talk to rats. I mean, like this is it. That's what it is to me. I don't trust no one.
the streets are done.
The streets are done. And if you are a person that I would never go back to saying I could sell bricks on DC streets, because the same day I get that brick is the same day I'm going to jail. I would never say I'm going to go back to do checks and credit cards because I'm going to jail.
I think 87 was the murder capital year from DC.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as bad anymore as far as the murder game though.
No. The murder game was one part in 87. Now, yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
worse because the youngest have took over.
Yeah, they got switches now and shit.
Yes. The guns are more potent than what they was using, I would say, back in 87, 88. And it's bad for me to see this because it's like the youngins are not, they're not being educated enough to know what life is really about. They're just jumping out here, getting into stuff, and they're losing their lives behind it. And it's nothing funny about it. It's sad. I don't think Wayne wants people to keep seeing him as his life. He did whatever he did. I think he has really, no, I'm not going to say I think, he has really changed. That's why he changed his name. And they don't even honor that. So if somebody like him could really speak to the youth and really tell them how his life was, what he did, what he thinks about his life now, and where he's going from here, I think it would really help. Because they look at him on the internet and they think it's always, yeah, I'm going to be like Wayne Perry. Wayne Perry was doing this and Wayne Perry was doing this. And they have no idea of who Wayne Perry really is.
Yeah. I mean, he's mentioned in rap songs and
all type of mess.
Yeah.
And still sitting where he's sitting. So who is all this stuff benefiting? Because it's not benefiting him. And not to just say him, we have a lot of famous dudes, famous gangsters from DC. But the only names you hear on the internet is theirs. It's sickening. And it's like one state keep going on. People just keep going on, one behind the other, one behind the other. DC has an incredible amount of good men that are deceased and that are still living. Our city is not just based on them. And I said before, like they take him and they make a mockery out of him, saying this and saying that, putting this on him, and put just like some of this stuff I've heard from you is ludicrous to me, because that's not who I know at all.
So I want to get this overstood. Wayne Perry didn't kill 100 people.
No.
Okay. I just want to hear you say that so we can.
He didn't kill no 100 people.
What, 20?
Whatever society got him locked up for, that's what they said. I didn't see him kill nobody. I didn't see him hurt anyone. So if another woman says she did, she's lying. Because I don't even think he portrayed that in front of women.
You don't think and I know he was a ladies' man.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think, I mean, there's plenty of stories about him allegedly killing women. You think that's all a lie?
No, that's not a lie.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you again, what's on his transcript is who society has him locked up for.
Did he ever voice his frustration about Alpo snitching on him to you?
No. Was he mad about it? Of course. Wouldn't you be?
Definitely.
Yes.
why did he trust Alpo so much though? Because there was a lot of people in Wayne Perry's ear telling him to watch out for Alpo. What was Alpo doing to make Wayne Perry so comfortable, do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot I'm going to stay away from because, like as I said, there are things that he shared with me that I would never share with anybody. I
Okay.
would die first because it's not, it's not going to help him, and it's not going to it's not going to pump me up in no type of way.
Hmm. What do you have to say to everybody that just all these YouTube documentaries and I don't think people realize that, the pain you have to deal with from this, you being a single mom. What do you go through on sometimes, thinking about this, the things that you hear, the things that you see mentally?
Mentally, it's excruciating. On the other hand, I know that he is going to always be in the public's eye for something. I just want them to stop. He's not, everybody, I feel as though during the prison system and how prison is set up and what's going on, you have a lot of people that are being free. I know he will never be a rat. I know he will never succumb that to even gain his freedom because that's not who he is. I would rather say people to try to reach out to him and ask him who he is, what he did, if this is true and that is true, instead of people just basically going around lying and you'll believe in the lies, and the lies are adding up, adding up, adding up, which makes no sense. But I know that may never happen. But at the end of the day, the internet needs to stop. It's beyond ridiculous. And far as my family and us, they care nothing about us. So I wouldn't even say, I wouldn't even break down and be like, oh, could you please stop because of us? No. They care nothing about anybody because the way they look at it, if he was such a sociopath, because that's what it seemed like they trying to make it seem like.
Yeah, psychopath for sure. That's
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Why would we care about your family? Do you know what he did to these people? And I understand that. But he's not a sociopath.
I know DC hates Alpo, man.
Very much
I got a
so.
lot.
But then you have some people, they say they hate him, but they joined him. Okay?
Mm.
And I hate them. Because either you're going to be one way or you're not. I hate the fakeism with all of this. Because
What are you
it's not
talking about? When he got out or before?
exactly when he got out.
Okay.
He was in DC before. They act like they ain't see him or nobody, lies. I don't like it because either you're gonna be true and be to Wayne's side, or you're gonna be true and be to the fake rat side. But you can't fit in both. And that's what they do. And that's why they hate me because I'm vocal on it. It's fake. Fake fraud.
Nearly 3 years ago, Alpo was killed on Halloween in New York. Um, when you first heard the news, what was your reaction?
Happy.
Mm.
There he goes. He should have never was released. If they released him, they should have released Wayne too. I said it on a podcast before. Screw his life. Because they were saying, oh, he got a good life. He won. Screw his life.
Yeah, man.
He should have never
The
made it to the streets.
the guy who was accused of killing him, he was let off. It was acquitted.
I feel something is very fishy with that. But hey, if they let him get his freedom, so be it.
Mm. What makes you think something's fishy?
Because look at everybody else trial. They take somebody's life, they don't get out like that.
Yeah, it wasn't broadcasted or anything.
Nothing was broadcast.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a funeral. Not that I care.
Yeah.
But seriously, if you look at the situation, he didn't even have he didn't even have a funeral.
You think he's still alive?
Possibility. Because the feds plays a lot of games, and you know he was supposed not to be from America, so I'm pretty sure he could buy a new identity. Ain't a lot of stuff ain't hard to get. You just got to know where to go and get what you need to get.
Mm-hmm.
If he is, let him stay where he is. And as I told him, the only thing he could do for me is
he died.
Get Wayne release.
Do you think that's possible that Wayne could get out one day?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Anything is bound to happen. And see, that's what people fail to realize. They call me crazy. She tripping. She living back in days. Oh, I've been called all type. I don't care. Anything is possible. And I think I really think if he'd have went under and they would have kept him off the internet, he really would have had a good chance. If all these
Wayne would have.
Yeah, if all these stories when it came out, yeah, I think so. And I think he still does have a chance. Because those people in there, they know who lying and who ain't lying. You know, the feds rig stuff up. They see this stuff. And that's my opinion. If he was never on the internet, he would have had a good chance. Because there would have been no lawyers or attorneys to say, well, this is what they're saying online about you. And this is what we read. And we want to bring these people in and question them. See, people don't understand the significance of this internet stuff, but I do. When you up on here and you saying this person, they put out all these stories on all these different dudes, you dry snitching. And that's something I will never encounter. Ever. You're dry snitching on these people. And when you're dry snitching, you're bringing the feds to look up stuff. So I would never dry snitch on Wayne. I ain't nothing to dry snitch on him about. Only thing I'm going to keep saying is yes, one day he will get out of there.
Was there any time where, because I know there was a lot of times where Wayne Perry's crew would try to kidnap people, but was there any time where Wayne Perry's life was almost at risk and he told you about it? Any close encounters where?
No, nobody never, not that I know of, ever tried to do nothing to Wayne. Wayne was it. Nobody never tried, not that I know of. No.
Yeah, because I'm hearing like it was, and this is even like besides the murdering part, I'm hearing like people were, it was like the top guys in the city, like I think like a Michael Frey, Salters, and like Rayful Edmond, they wouldn't drive certain cars because of Wayne Perry. Now, can we confirm that? Was it that deep now?
It might have been that deep. It might have been that deep. It might have been that deep.
Yeah.
It might have been that deep.
in Alpo, he was really vocal about bonding Wayne Perry out of jail. You didn't know Wayne Perry at that time?
No, I did not know him that time, but I do know he was, the story that was told to me, and I believe it, that Pop went and got Poe to bond Wayne out of prison. And there was something that was said by another young lady. She said, well, we could see what type of person Wayne was, that his men and them did not want to bond him out. And that's something that I would never believe. I just believe that, you know, bonding somebody out of, and I know this because I was in prison, you got to use an ID. See, people don't think sensibly, they don't think logically, and they don't think with education of the situation. So you say you bonding somebody out like Wayne. You have to use your ID to bond somebody out of prison. So that means when you use your ID, you're responsible for that person. Mm-hmm. So I would never say his mans and them did not want to bond him out because they had the money. I would say they just didn't want to put their name on a dotted line for something. So whoever they got to do it, may prayers be with them.
And that's where you think Wayne, he started fucking with Poe. That's when he gained the trust for Poe because of that situation.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not going to stamp anything, but I think so. Because if it was me and somebody got me out of prison and I ain't know them and I know what type of person they is and stuff that they have, I'm a bond with them too.
Is that true that DC hates Alpo so much that they shot at Cameron that year because he played the role in the movie? Is that true? I keep hearing
some of
that.
This stuff is ludicrous. I'm not getting into that.
DC cats hate Alpo, man.
They do. There are a lot
of them. They said he came down there.
I will stamp that, even though I say it's some of them that do bond with them, but for the majority, they do hate them. They do.
Yeah.
They do. Now, I'm not going to say they went around shooting at Cameron because he was, come on, man. If it's true, it's true. I can't say, and I'm not.
Right.
That sounds crazy to me, but hey, anything is possible.
Facts. Last thing too. Rayful Edmond, he just got out. We spoke on him earlier. But I mean, he made a lot of money, but at the end of the day, he did rat as well. He threw a lot of people under the bus that trusted him. Family and friends went down with him. But he's home. He's on his way home now. He's out, but he's not. I don't think he's all the way home yet. But he is getting a lot of praise because of the money that he made. And a lot of people, you know, he ratted, but a lot of people don't really care about that these days. They don't care about the code, ethics, and morals.
I see that. And that to me is crazy. Because I'm seeing people who said, oh, if he was to get out, I would never talk to him again. I would never be around him again. But they praising him on. I'm not praising him on. I see no reason for me to praise him on about what? You took people, I mean, you got people locked up. 2 crews. There's another crew that he got locked up, and I'm just recently finding out about it, but he's a good brother of mine. I really like him, and I talked to him. The Kevin Gray crew. I didn't even know he had nothing to do with that. And I learned that from DC Gospel Blunt, because he has that story. But I didn't even know he had nothing to do with that. But Kevin Gray is a real good brother of mine. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad. Like, they should be home too. That's from your what knowledge. I don't get. You let a rat out, but you condemn everybody else. Excuse me? And then what ignited me also, when they was letting the rat out that ratted on Wayne, and let me say this, I don't call him Wayne anymore because that's not his name. His name now is Nicosi. That's what he goes by in prison. So I have to give respect where respect is due. He changed his
Facts.
name for a reason.
Okay.
So they didn't tell us when they let that rat out. They didn't put that rat on TV. They didn't parade him all over the national. And they didn't let a lot of people out when that rat came out. So here it is. You got this dude here who's from DC, and you got him all over TV. You know, back in my time of being in the streets, we never knew who rats was. The only way you would know who a rat was if a person in prison had paperwork. Then they got people online now playing with people's paperwork. Like, this is ludicrous to me. That's
Yeah,
some
screw.
shit you don't
Yeah,
play with.
editing documents and
Yes,
shit.
this is crazy.
Yeah.
You knew a rat years ago when somebody brought their paperwork up. If a dude called from prison and say, this dude here is a rat, we got the paperwork, he has to go. Ain't no grinning, galley, and whining, and I'm this put praising them on. What is this here? So are these niggas street dudes or cowards? Because that's how I feel about it. You weak cowards to me. I'm not praising on nobody. I don't care how much money he had or how much money he still has. You took people's lives to salvage your own. My thing is, if we hustling together, we hustling together. That's if a broad prostitute or whatever. If we doing this together, we doing this together. We're both taking this charge and we going down the road. Ain't gonna be none of this shit here talking about okay, well, I'ma tell on her because I want my freedom. I want my freedom too, but I wanted the money just like you did. See, this is the confusion I get with them. And they looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm looking at them like I'm staying away from y'all. Period. Because it's too much. And this is why I feel a lot of out of town dudes don't respect DC dudes because they fake. They talk about they stay together in prison. Yeah, them my mans. I'm together with them in prison. But you come out on the street and you portray something else. Which way we gonna have it? Either you gonna be with the rats or you gonna be with the straight people. Like, which way we gonna have it? And this is what confuses the youngins. They think it's cool too.
Um, I guess his excuse for ratting, Rayful's excuse for ratting was because of his mom. I think his mom went down too, and he said he just wanted to get his mom out. She was older at the time, but he was thinking about family. That's what he said in the interview.
I don't know. I wasn't in his brain. But when I was locked up in Alderson, FC, out where his mother was. But when I got there, she was leaving a week before I could get settled. So I never really got to talk to her or was in her face or nothing like that. But from my understanding, she was okay. But if that's what he wants to say, who am I to, you know, say he's telling a lie?
Hmm.
I'm
From your
not, I don't want
knowledge.
my son. I didn't mean to cross you over.
No, you good. You good.
If
My bad.
I don't want if I'm in a situation like that with my son, I don't want my son to rat on anybody to get me out. If I was in the crime with him or we all was together, that's how it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to take my little old self and do my time. But I don't want my son to start ratting on nobody to get me out. And I told my son the same thing. He get in the summer, he go to prison. I'm not ratting on nobody to get my son out.
From your knowledge, did did Wayne Perry and Rayful respect one another?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And is
See,
this from
people
like
play with Wayne. They play with Nicosi like they didn't respect him and this, that, and the other. Yes, they did. If he get out today, DC gonna be quiet.
Woo.
If he get out today, DC will be, they can say whatever they want to say. DC will be quiet. Sure, they gonna put him on the internet and say he out, but ain't gonna be too many people want to face him.
Mm. They were cousins though, right?
You already asked me, and I told you he never told me that.
Okay.
So
My bad.
I can't stamp that. And I've never asked a family member of Nicole's was him and Rafa's cousins. So if I'm gonna say this, if for by chance he might have said it to somebody I don't know, or Rafa might have said it to somebody I don't know, but I can't stamp that because I don't know. I was never told that.
Wow. So you went to prison for a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do?
I was in prison for identity theft, credit cards, and checks. I did 9.5 years.
Oh.
So I
And
had my own story.
yeah. So when did you get locked up?
I got locked up 2006.
Okay. So not too far. Okay. So how did you get jammed up?
Rats.
Mm.
That's it in a nutshell.
So you were just running it up. Somebody else got jammed up and they threw your name in the mix?
Yeah, I don't even think it's so much as somebody else got jammed up. I think it was the hate on me, for real.
Yeah, you were shining too hard.
I was shining.
They couldn't handle it.
They couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. And they still can't handle it now.
I mean, how crazy were you going with the checks though?
I went berserk. I was in the newspaper like everybody else for 170,000. I went crazy.
So do you plead guilty? Do you take it to trial or what?
Yeah, I didn't take it to trial. I pleaded guilty.
Okay. And what was the initial, how much time was you facing before the 9 years?
I was facing 20 years before they broke all my stuff down because I had been getting locked up for so many years off of petty stuff that the petty stuff became big stuff, and I never really realized how big I was getting. But they always tell you once you reach the top to the feds, you knocked on hell's door. But when I got arrested by the feds, in my head I kept saying this gonna be like everything else. I'm gonna get bonded out and go home. But it was not. I stayed.
So you show up to court and they offer you, will they give you 9 years?
No.
9.5.
I never went to court. When they locked me up, when the feds came to get me, I went to a couple bond hearings because my case was between DC and Virginia. I crossed the Virginia line in Manassas, Virginia with checks, and I didn't know that it was the feds line. So because I was writing checks in DC, Maryland, Virginia, other states everywhere, they wanted my case in DC and they had me in Virginia. So they kept bringing me back and forth from DC to Virginia, DC to Virginia. And I got tired. I got tired of the wear and tear. So I was in front of Judge Cushenberry in DC. He's the meanest judge in DC. But for some reason, he was leaning towards me. So he was going on vacation and Virginia did not basically want to let me go. So he asked me, he said, Ms. Gilmore, I'm going to take this vacation. And when I come back, we will conclude. And I lost it. I was like, no, please, Yana, let these crackers go ahead and take me. Because I was tired. Like, people don't understand.
Mentally.
Prison is a wear and tear from county to county to county. You got to keep stripping out. button, booking over, bucking, they looking up in your butthole and all. That shit is humiliating alone by itself. So he looked at me and he was like, Miss, because I cursed in the courtroom. He was like, Miss Gilman, I was like, please, you know what I'm saying? Just they not trying to let me go. So I went on over to Virginia and my lawyer came. And another thing they did to me, I wanted Brian McDaniel to represent me, and this is how they do you in the court system. They can take your lawyer, or they can tell you that you cannot have a lawyer to represent you. Or they can tell the lawyer they're going to take their bond. And it's the same thing they did to Nicosi. But I'm not going to put our cases together because it was not. But it's just I'm showing people how the court system do you.
Right.
So they told me no, that Brian McDaniel could not represent me because they knew we were close. And they knew Brian would have got me out. So I went and got this other attorney. He was good. He was okay. So when he started looking at my record, he said to me, he said, Astoria, your record is worse than the niggas. So me looking at him and I'm looking like, what are you talking about? Because a lot of my record had been null pros, and null pros mean a lot of my stuff was thrown out. And that's another catch in the court system that people don't understand about. They tell you they can't bring up your old charges. That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. So doing my old charges, I had gun charges, burning up people's charges. They call them arson charges. I had a lot of charges.
Wait, burning up people what?
Houses.
Oh my God. You was going crazy like that? The fuck? How many houses we talking about?
So those were some of my charges. So going into my new case, which was the identity theft, the fraud, and so forth, they gave me 6 charges. So in the system, they give you a certain amount of charges, and you gotta bet them down. You gotta bet them down to the government. So the government will be able to say what they're going to hold you on and what they're going to drop you. So my lawyer got my charges dropped down. And doing that, they have a guidelines that they take you by to actually give you your time. My guidelines have reached over 100 and something, 100 and something years, days, months. So that brought my stuff up to 20 years. So then the marshals came, and I really, to be honest with you, I knew I was doing stuff, but I had no idea I had reached that mark, but I did. So when I walked in the room, they had bulletin boards with my face on it from different IDs and stuff, and I'm looking around the room like, what the hell is going on? So I knew they had me. It wasn't no reason for me to, be like,
fight
nah, fight it for what? I would have fought it. I'd have got more time. So when he came, he said, what they gonna do, they gonna go down your guidelines. A lot of stuff will be taken off, because it is no pros, and a lot of stuff is old. It was a lot of stuff old from the 80s and not from the 80s, from the 90s. Because I started this like, Nicosi went to jail in 1992. So I started doing my checks and my credit cards like 1993. That's how long I was doing it. I drove a U-Haul with my son for about 8.5 years, because the U-Haul was my way of getting furniture and anything I wanted to sell. So when he took me in, he said, okay, Astoria, we got it down from 20 to 10. And I'm looking at the lawyer like, my son is 15 years old. You telling me I'm going to prison for 10 years? What is my child going to do? Father gone, been gone all his life. Now he got to suffer through this. So, I just had to sit there and be like, this is my own fault. And prayed every day that my son would make it. And speaking to my son went through hell without his mother. So that's a whole nother story.
How much time did you actually serve?
I did 9.5 because I took it's called the RDAP,
Yep.
Residential Drug Addiction Treatment Program, and I only took that based on the fact that my lawyer said, tell them that you drink occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah, my homeboy told me about that program.
Yes, and that program is nothing nice. It's nothing nice. So when I took that, it took 18 months off, and I also accepted my responsibility for committing the crimes, and that took off like 5 or 6 months. It supposed to take a year, but it only took off 5 or 6 months.
So when they offered you the 10 years, you didn't try to fight it to like 5 years or?
I had no legs to stand on.
Mm.
And I knew I didn't. I had no legs to stand on. It wasn't even about so much as the people snitching, because I could have, in my own way, in my own lane, after thinking about it, I could have battled them with that. But that would mean I would be taking them back and forth to court. And the more time I take them back and forth to court, the more time I spend, and they still won't give me time anyway. So why waste time on that? Then, you got to move from county prison. You got to go to the feds. That's a whole nother jurisdiction. You're going into a whole new set of bras or a whole new set of men. Like, that shit is, you got to prepare yourself mentally for that. That's a lot. And that's what people don't understand. So men like Wayne and, all those people that behind the walls and stuff like that, it's serious. So we can play out here on the internet all we want. Prison is serious.
What was your biggest message or should I say lesson from the whole 9 years? 9.5, sorry.
My biggest message for that is?
Well, just lesson. Like, what was the biggest lesson that you learned from that whole 9 years? Like, was it worth it? It wasn't worth it?
Exactly. No, it was not worth it. I lived good off of it. I did what I did. But at the end of the day, I brought destruction to my son. And that was not worth it at all. My son was the biggest reason for me to hold on as far as I did, because things happened in there to me that, I had to be strong. It's going to break you or make you. And I had to make it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I had to make it. So go ahead.
What was the worst thing you experienced while in there over the 9 years?
When I first went to county, a female got in a shower with me, and her intention was to sexually assault me. But we didn't get that far because I wasn't having that. So we fought. And that's how I basically, you have to gain your respect in prison. You have to gain what I would call, that's how you get acknowledged for not to be messed with. Because we was in county, and I couldn't believe that it happened in county. I heard that it happens in the feds, but we were in county jail. I was on my way to the feds. And she was in a unit. She had basically bullied everybody in the unit. I didn't know that. She had basically bullied everybody in the unit. And, she would come to my cell, and, my hair is long. So I always wore my hair in 2 braids with a bang when I was locked up. And she would always come and she'd be like, you want me to braid your hair? You okay? And I always had a thing about eating the chicken in prison. It just didn't look right to me. It was too big. The chickens was always too big in all the prisons. So I would give my chicken away, you know what I'm saying? And she would come and she would be like, you know, Astoria, you're not gonna eat your chicken, let me get it. And the whole time the other girls in the unit, they was like, Astoria, she roughing up on you, and in Astoria's mind, I didn't come to prison to sleep with women, and I'm not leaving like that. And you're not going to take anything from me. So she kept doing it and kept doing it. And I guess she felt one day that I had a thing. I went to one prison. When I went to prison, we was in Philly going on a transit. And I'm the type, I don't like to take my clothes off in front of women. I don't like that. So the showers was all shower heads, 8 women. I got in the shower. I got in the shower with all my uniform on.
Mm.
And so I'm in the shower and I'm washing, I'm holding.
Yeah.
I'm holding my shirt and washing myself. And the prison guard was like, what in the hell is this broad doing? But they didn't realize that, I've been to prison, but I hadn't been in a situation like that. So one of the Muslim sisters went to the police and she said, wait, let me talk to her, because she's a sister. Let me talk to her, because they was getting ready to seriously attack me and beat me. Okay, so at that time, they were to the limit where they wasn't trying to listen. They really thought that I was mentally messed up. They thought something was really going on in my head, but it wasn't. I just never ever liked to take my clothes off in front of no women. So the Muslim sister came and she said, sister, this is not like that. You gotta take, and I'm looking at her and I'm telling her, oh, I'm not doing, I'm not doing that. So they pulled me out and took me to my cell, and the police came in there and she was like, what's going on? Because your Muslim sister came and told us, that you have a situation. Are you on medicine or something? And I broke down and I told her, I said, no, I'm not on no medicine. I don't want to be seen by no women. This is my first time being in a setting like that. I've been locked up a lot, but for me to walk in there and see all these bras, nakedness, I went with that. Mm. So she was like, so how you going to shower? So I told her, you know what? Y'all can have it. I bathed in the room for the next 3 days and I was transferred. So when I got to the feds, people don't understand, man. It's mentally taking your clothes off and letting a woman lift your breasts up and you squatting and they looking in the, what? I don't want to be no prison guard looking in the crack of no woman's behind. So, I had to adjust and get used to that. So by her coming to the shower, like we was in a unit and they had the top tier around and the bottom of the floor, that was the bottom tier, but the shower was in the middle of the floor and they had just the shower curtain around the shower linked over a pole, and then there was another pole with the shower head with the water running. I would wait until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when everybody was asleep and go take my shower. The police, they knew the camera was in the unit. So she decided, I guess she had been banking on me for a long time. She decided she was going to come and get in the shower. So I'm in the shower, I'm bathing myself, soaked up in everything. And I feel the cold air, the shower curtain open. And when I looked, all I seen was blood. I didn't give her time. She grabbed me by my breast. And from there, we went rolling.
Wow.
So we done broke the whole shower. We out on the tier floor, wrecking. Butt to ball, naked, in our birthday suit. So I can hear the bullhorn and stuff, but I didn't recognize none of that because I'm like, I went to my mind, everything just went to a whole nother level. I was gone. So they came in, they couldn't stop us from fighting because they couldn't, the goon squad, they couldn't put their hand on us because we both naked. So they threw some spikes on the ground, and she ended up slipping on one of the spikes and hit her head on the table. And that's when I lost it, because I'm like, I thought I had pushed her into the table and killed her. So by this time in my head, I'm like, now I'm going to jail for murder. Mm. So I can hear the girls on the tier, they telling the officers, Gilmore is a Muslim. She needs on clothes. So one of my bunkies ran down and she put a sheet on me, but I was shaking and trembling because I'm like, what the hell just happened to me? So they took me to the infirmary. They made me shower. They looked my body over, the nurse, and she was like, Gilmore, please calm down. Because I was in a wreck. At this point, I wanted to fight everybody. I'm knocking over chairs. I'm throwing tray. I'm doing everything. So they calmed me down. They took me, they put me in the bullpen. So this time I'm calmed down, but I'm asking about her. I'm like, is she okay? Because at the end of the day, if I would have killed her, then I'd have been in a whole different situation.
I mean, she was wrong, though.
She was dead wrong. Yep. She was wrong.
That could have been self-defense, though.
It was. So when the sergeant came, he said, Gilmore, do you have on clothes? Because they had to bring me some clothes. So I told him, at the time when he was at the door, I was like, wait, because I'm putting on my shirt. And I had just put on my bra and I put on my shirt. And he said, I'm not writing you up, but I want you to calm down. So that lifted, a spirit, because I didn't want to get written up either, because they take you 30 days. I'm just getting ready to start my fast time. I'm still on my brain. I want to go home to my son, but I still got to do this time. So he said, we seen everything on the camera. And I just shook my head like, wow, this is new to me. So he made a joke. He said, but I'm going to tell you this right here. From this day on, you're going to be all right in the feds wherever you go. So I never understood what he meant by that until I got to the feds. So when I go back up to the unit, the girls in the unit, they all on the tier with cups, like you see this shit on the TV, with cups, banging Gilmore saying my name, and I'm looking at them like, what? But the whole time, they was basically happy and congratulating me that I fought her and did what I did and what happened. But I'm like, do they think this funny? This is not funny. This shit is traumatic to me. So when you go to the feds, your name is on the laundry board, so they know you coming. This is how a lot of people get screwed around when they say they put them in places with dudes. Well, how did he know that I was coming? He knew you was coming because your name is placed on the laundry board. You have to go through laundry before you do anything else, before you go to intake or anything. So your name is on the laundry board. So when I get to the feds, my name is on the laundry board. I have friends at Alderson that I didn't know were there. They're coming down there, they're looking for me. So going through that was the worst. That was the worst. Then when I went to the penitentiary I wasn't even supposed to be in a penitentiary. They sent me by mistake. They do that to you too. You get in the feds and you get lost in the system. I'm in the penitentiary. I had to learn how to make a knife. Because they also have, if DC go down, you're with DC, you either gonna get down or you gonna lay down. And it is what it is.
I hear a lot about DC in prison. Something about DC. It's always DC.
Always.
What makes DC so powerful behind the walls? Men and women.
I can't even really say. I think it's just the name DC for real. Because every prison I went to, it was the same way. And if you get out of lane, I would say, and I don't know, maybe DC has more prisoners than other states. DC might override because it is with the men, they override. It's a lot of DC men and it's a lot of DC women. So that might be it. And now they do, I must say, they do stick together in prison. They do. They go after one another and they stick together in prison because I experienced it as a woman. You know, you got some people be like, I'm not messing with them DC people. I'm staying over here. But when I got to prison, I understood it.
Hmm. Who did your son stay with for the 9 years?
My son had, I got family. My mother, my sister, my brothers.
Okay.
He had, he had a lot of family help, but that wasn't enough for him mentally. My son had been with me all his life, so all he knew was his mother. So I'm training him. I didn't know I was going to prison, and I sure didn't know I was going for that longer time. I'm thinking if I go to prison, hey, this is just white collar. I might go for 18 months. I might no more than 3 years. I could did that standing on my toes. But I had to literally prepare my son. Here his mother go. He get letters and stuff from his father. Now his mother doing it. I had to go through it with my son and literally tell my son how to pay his bills, how to move, how to do this and how to do that. And during visits, when he would come and see me, I would see it. My son was literally breaking down. And I just was praying, you know what I'm saying, that Allah kept him in the best of health and kept him up until I got out of there. Females was losing their kids, and feds have a thing. They don't care who dies. You cannot go to the funeral. And I think that's very raw, and that policy should be changed. Kids die in prison, and if their family members or whoever want to pay for them to go to the funeral, they should be able to go.
Mm.
You can't go to funeral, and that's just like the men in the feds. If their mothers die, they are not allowed to go to funerals, and that's sad. It really
Yeah,
is.
I agree with that too. What year did you get out?
I got out in 2015.
Okay. Did you notice? Was it like was it a big? What should I say? Like, was it like a big jump for you society wise? You know, technology's at a different level. Things are faster now. Was it hard for you to reset?
Yes, it's sad to say, but it's true. My son had bought me a cell phone, and my son basically was teaching me how to use the cell phone because I had no clue.
Mm.
When I saw it, I had no clue. I was like, well, what's that? He was like, Mom, we don't have pages and stuff out here no more. Now we are using these cell phones. So every time I got messed up with the cell phone, I had to go to my child. And now you got to remember my child is grown. So I had to go back and start all over. And my son, it's a lot. When you leave your child, you leave your children, and you come home and they're grown, they have a whole different attitude. They have a whole different perception on you as a parent. So there was times when I was saying stuff to my son, and my son was being disrespectful. And I had to really buckle myself down and be like, you know what? He don't owe me anything. I owe it to him. So I had to put myself in a position and be like, I have to sit my child down and find out what is going on. And I knew my son was gone. He was out of it, hanging on by the skin of his teeth. And I would never want to put my child through that again. But don't misconstrue it, because people like to play with you and think that they can back you in a corner and you won't come out. I will come out if necessary. But for me to go back and start committing crimes like selling drugs or, doing checks and credit cards, no, I wouldn't do that.
Mm.
You have to build motherhood all over again. That's a lot.
I mean, your story is deep, man. Miss Gilmore, I appreciate this interview. Hopefully we could run it back in 6 months.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, they like hearing from you. And I just want to see how this one. I know this interview is going to go crazy. Let me ask you this last thing. Would you want a Paid in Full 2 movie based in DC?
Um,
Because you know that's what we all want, man. Us as fans.
that's why I scratched behind my ear.
Yeah, Dame already said that Dame Dash said that they may be working on a part 2.
Yeah, but I mean, like part one was at the end, he said, I didn't tell on no dudes from New York. I told on some niggas from DC.
Yeah, so they got to tell the DC story.
Right. So where they gonna pick it up at in DC?
Alpo going to DC, meeting Wayne Perry. Boom. That's a hit. Come on now. Hey man, tell 50 Cent cut the check, man.
Hey, I can't rule the world.
Yeah.
I can't rule the world. I just think out the box from other people at this point because of the fact that Nicozy is in the position he's in. If it's something that could benefit him to help him, even if you could get him out of ADX, I'm with that.
What's that? The Supermax?
Yes. I will be with that.
I think like El Chapo and a few other people are there too, right?
Yes. If he's able, if anything they do can assist him with getting him out of ADX, it's all right with me.
So he's on lockdown, like solitary confinement. Can't leave.
Right.
Phone calls, nothing.
It's hard. He can make phone calls, but he makes a certain amount of phone calls a month. He can get mail. He gets a lot of mail and stuff, but he needs air. And what I mean by that, he needs to breathe out of a cell. He's mentally stable, though. I'm going to give him that. He's mentally stable. He is. People talk to him on the phone. You talk to him on the phone. It's just like you talking to him when he's on the street. But that's his way of, people not worrying about him. But we never know what's really happening when he go back to his cell, how he's really feeling.
Yeah, I think an audio of him. I don't know how recent it was, but he seemed pretty positive. Like
yes.
He was pushing peace now.
Yes.
A lot of the things that he's known for, he wants to be known for something more on a positive note.
Exactly. That's why I'm telling them to stop. He's not that person anymore. He's positive. That's why I said if he was to ever get a chance to really speak to the youths, it might make a difference because the internet has them seeing him as some type of torturous animal that he's not.
He did voice that he destroyed a lot of families, though.
Yeah.
He did say that.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of things in the past, and he made a lot of people cry.
Right. Yeah.
And he's Muslim now.
Yes, he is full blown.
Yeah. Okay.
And he stays on his deen,
Yeah.
So I don't bother him with what's going on with me out here, but they do it. Let them do it if they want to. I'm not. Because he can't control what's going on.
Right.
And that's another reason why they take advantage of the things as they do. Because they feel as though he can't control it.
Miss Gilmore, I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we can get one in the top of the year. Yes. And y'all have my information. We can always stay in contact. And until next time, be safe.
Okay, I wanted to say one thing I want to stamp out because how I got here. I heard you ask about me from Anglizzi. And he was supposed to do the
correct.
Right, but I don't know what happened in that part, but then it went left because he made a comment on his channel about Nicole that I didn't like, so it left a bad taste in my mouth. So I give much credit and big ups to DC Gospel Blunt and World Polo. I
Yeah,
thank
shout out to Polo for
I
sure.
thank
Yep.
those gentlemen very much for orchestrating this for me, and it was great meeting you. And we shall do this again.
Yeah, cause like I spoke on in the beginning, it's like shout out to Aunt Glizzy too. I don't know the whole relationship with DC politics, but it just became where it's too many people got involved to where I didn't know where to look. So shout out to Polo because without Polo, this never would have happened.
Exactly.
I
And
didn't see
Blunt,
what I didn't
but
see what
Blunt
Aunt
did the
Glizzy said.
Polo was the middle, but Blunt DC Gospel
Oh,
Blunt
shout out
is
to Blunt too.
yes.
Yeah, shout out to Blunt. But Polo's the one I've been talking to every day.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what Aunt Glizzy said that made you. What did something about his brother or?
No, I don't even know if he really meant to say it, but he said it. He made a live stream about Rayful, and at the end he was saying, yeah, well, Rayful and Nicole will be speaking. They gonna be speaking because both of them like messing, like sleeping with men, with boys. And I was upset, and it made me go into a turmoil because I wouldn't even think for him to say nothing like that.
Right.
So, I like I said, I'm not mad at him. I think he went and edited the video. He edited the video and took that part out. And I respect that. And I said I was not going to get on, any of my platforms and curse him out and call him out his name because he's young. But I was going to try to stop what's going on and just tell people why the lie was put on the cozy in the first place about him sleeping with boys. And he was never sleeping with no man in no cell. It was a female, and that dude just made it up because he was mad because of the fact the female, him and Nicole was dealing with the same female, and I guess she wasn't trying to sleep with him in the cell.
Mm. Well, you cleared up a lot of rumors and a lot of things that people want to hear. I know people it's always a drawback. So the next one I want to do based off what people say, because I know people are gonna come comment and say what they have to say. So in 6 months we'll definitely do another one, man. I
Okay.
appreciate you.